Hi, I'm Andres from Renewable DIY, and today we're going to show you how to build one of these, your very own aquaponics system, uh, with just a few lengths of PVC pipe and some PVC fittings. On the thumb drive you're going to find three different files, one of which is the cut list cheat sheet. And what that is we've done all the work of laying out the measurements on the pipe for you, so that you can just follow this. It's done graphically. It shows you each one of the pieces of PVC pipe and how to lay out the markings on it so that you don't waste any pipe at all. There's only two pieces of scrap left when you finish cutting all of the pieces of pipe that you need for the whole project. So it's a very efficient way to do it. Very little waste. So and it also keeps you from having to spend some time trying to lay it out. So all you do is you take your measuring tape, and what I like to do is measure and make sure I actually have 5 foot of length here. So all of these pieces should be 5 feet, and it's easier to order them that way. The shorter, easier to handle, and they come pre-cut from the supplier. So all you have to do is you look on the cheat sheet. You look for your first your pipe size and your schedule. So and you'll be able to see on here it's clearly marked. So as you can see here, we have all the measurements on here, and we have all the sizes of pipe. And just what you do is you just match up the pipe 3/4 schedule 40. So we're going to grab our 3/4 pipe, schedule 40, and we're just going to set up the tape measure so that we can measure across our different sections of pipe. And our largest section is only going to be 24 inches, so I've let out the tape measure 24 inches, and so we're just going to measure from one end, and our first measurement is 9 inches, as you can see there. So we're going to go to the pipe. We're going to measure 9 inches from the end, and we're going to make our mark. We're going to make our mark right there, and we're going to go on. It's 14 inches. We're going to make our second mark. We're going to go 14 inches from the last mark, and make our mark. Right at the 14-inch mark, and we're going to continue on down the pipe, making marks until we've gone all the way across, as you can see on the drawing. for the 3/4 inch pipe, you have two that are basically going to be the same. So you can use the first pipe that you marked to transfer the marks onto the second pipe. So just make sure the ends are even, and then just go across and transfer the marks. Also forgot to mention this one thing. I have a sheet of stickers here. What I'm going to do is, if you'll notice, on the cut list, you also have what we call reference designators. And what that allows you to do is, it allows you to mark the parts so that you can match the parts up to the parts in the drawing later. So I'm just going to go down my cut list, and I'm going to transfer the reference designators or the letters that are inside the parentheses to this sticker sheet. So I'll just make one for each section of pipe that I have there. So I'm going to go through and transfer that, and after I'm done with that, I'll transfer these stickers to the sections of pipe, just as you see in the cut list cheat sheet. So there you go. That's what you want to have. So this just corresponds again to the letters and numbers you see in the parentheses. So you just want to put together a sheet like that, and then you want to go through and you want to take these stickers, you match them up to what you have on your cut list, and you just affix them to each section like this, so you can identify them when you cut them off. So just go through and add those in. Just like that. Just go through, just like that. Add those all in there, like that. And just go down, through, and okay, so there you go. We've gone through, used up all our labels, added all the labels to the pipes, as you can see. We've got all our pipe sections labeled up, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to start cutting these to length, right on the marks that we've made. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so if you're using a Sharpie and you mess up, say you put a line, you mismeasure and you put a line where it doesn't go, what you can do is you use some rubbing alcohol, just your regular rubbing alcohol. You put a little on a paper towel, and you can just rub it right off. So you can see, you can get rid of any marks that you've made an error. So now that we've got all the pipes marked up, what we're going to do is we're going to take our just household hacksaw, because I know everybody's got one of these in their garage or in your toolbox, And all we're using is a metal cutting blade, and we're using a metal cutting blade because it's got very fine teeth, and it will give you a nice clean cut on the PVC. Okay, so here I've just set up the on the corner of the table, I've set up the fish pan bin, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to catch all the pieces that I cut off. And so as you can see here, I've got everything marked up, and I'm just going to take my hacksaw and I'm going to take the first section of pipe, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to okay, so here's a different angle. So I've set this up so that I can use my my hacksaw on the edge of here, and everything's going to fall into the bin. And so you're going to see when you start out, just start out slow so that it'll stay on. As you can see, they're on the mark that you made. And what you want to do is you want to just continue with long strokes and just go ahead and cut through. So it's pretty soft material, so you're going to cut through pretty easily. So when you get to the end, just be careful. It's going to go just like that. And so I'll do a few more cuts so you can see that again. So you just put it on the mark, and I use my finger to steady it like this, and then just the first couple of strokes you want to go easy. Once you make a notch in there, it'll be pretty easy to keep it in the notch. So once it's got that notch in there, you just make long strokes, and you see it cuts through pretty easily. And remember, you don't have to be precise on this. You do want to make them as square as possible and stay as close to the line as you can. But the PVC is pretty forgiving, so when we put the frame together, you'll see what I'm talking about. But just continue on and cut all your pipes on the line like this until you get through all of them. It goes pretty easily. As I said, it goes pretty quick once you get going. And you can see the beauty of it. It just all falls right into your fish bin, and we'll sort them out later. As you can see, they're all marked with the label, so you'll be able to tell which pieces are which. Short of that, if any labels get knocked off or you forgot to put a label on it, you can always use the measuring tape to check the length, and then you check that against your cut list, and you'll see which part is which. Okay, so when you're done cutting, you're going to wind up with a bin full of pieces just like this. And what you're going to do with these pieces is you're going to get a file, and I just happen to have a file right over here handy, and so we just take the file and we take the pieces, and what you're going to do is you're going to take off, you see what is all around the outside. You're going to take off what's on the outside of each one of these and just make that a smooth edge on there. You're not going to worry about the inside too much, except for the ones that are going to go into the overflow pipe, but we'll show you that later. Okay, now as I said, you're going to go through and just file this off so that you have a nice smooth edge on the outside of these guys. So just like that. You see? Nice smooth edge on the outside. And the inside, really, you can just, being careful, because this can leave some sharp edges, so there's a potential for you to cut your finger. But so yeah, so just knock off the burrs like that. And like I said, like this is going to be for the frame, so you don't have to worry too much how the ends look, as long as the outside doesn't interfere with you pushing it onto pushing the fittings onto it. So there you go. So just go through and do that to all the pieces that you have in there. Just go through and file that off and knock off the burrs on the inside, just like that. Okay, so you know how they say watch the whole video first, or read the instructions all the way through first before you do anything? Okay, see, I went through and cut all of this pipe with the hacksaw, but one thing I wanted to show you was these guys. So this is what they call a ratcheting pipe cutter, and what this will allow you to do is cut the pipe without all the mess and sawdust of using the hacksaw. So what you're going to do is you're going to eliminate all this mess that you have here. You can eliminate all of that by using this pipe cutter. And what this does is it allows you to cut the pipe. You just stick the pipe in here and you ratchet down on it, and so you just put the blade on the line and you keep ratcheting down. And so I'll give you a close-up of this so you can see what's going on. So you see the blade is on it there, and you just keep ratcheting down until it goes through the whole pipe. And so you wind up with a nice clean cut on the end of it. No burrs, no anything. Okay? Thanks. Okay, so this was just 13, 14 bucks at your local hardware store. And they have them anywhere you have plumbing supplies. Anywhere there's PVC pipe, they're going to have these. And so I think it's a worthy investment if you are planning to do a bunch of projects with PVC. But again, if you're just going to do this one project and you have a hacksaw available, you can use that. It just makes a little bit more mess. This will save you a little bit of time by just making clean cuts, and you don't lose any material on the PVC. Okay, so a lot of these bins are going to have what they call tooling marks, and you're going to see a mark at the center where it was molded. If you don't have those tooling marks, I'm going to show you how to mark it so that you can basically drill it right in the center. So okay, so what you're gonna do is go corner to corner with your straight edge. You put your straight edge on there. You make one mark across, and that mark is basically in the center. And then, so you make your mark across there. You go corner, the other corner to the other corner, and you make your mark across there. And so you're gonna have an X, as you can see there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 1.5 inch drill bit with the hole saw, and you're going to put it right on that X. You're going to go slow to start. So once you get that started, and there you go. So now you have your 1.5 inch hole. And first we're going to do the side holes, and what we do for that is we're going to measure across here, and we're going to measure to the center of this spot, and we're going to mark that off. Okay, so what you see here is it's 15 inches. So if you divide that in half, you'll get 7.5 inches. So we're going to measure 7.5 inches from one of the ends, and that winds up right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a line across this way, and that's going to be our line for where we drill the hole. What we want to do is we want to get this hole as close to the top rim as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the drill bit, and we're going to take the drill bit and butt it right up against the edge of there. So when you have the hole saw going in, we're going to put the point of the hole saw on the line we just marked, and we're going to slide it up till it hits the rim, and we're going to start drilling there. Once we get the hole started, we can turn it up, and we can finish drilling the hole this way. So that way, you have a nice clean hole going. So if you rock it back and forth with it, sometimes it helps to cut the hole. And so there you go. You have a hole going across there, and it's very close to the top edge. And so just repeat this on your second bin. Okay, so at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to take a utility knife or an X-Acto blade and cut along the edge and remove that burr that's created when you see, make a nice flat edge, and we'll show you why that's important later. But just go along and cut the burr away. And the burr is just that little edge that's left after the hole saw gets cutting the hole. So you just go around and just cut that off, just so you have a flat surface there. And I'll show you why that's important in a minute. And just go ahead and do that with both bins. Okay, so now you're going to take your grommets, and you have 4 of these. So you have 1 for each hole. And so what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze the grommet so that it's got this shape like this. You see that lip is going to stick out a little bit. So what you're going to do is you're going to stick that lip against the edge of the hole you made in the bins, and you're going to work the grommet into that hole so that that edge is inside that hole, just like this. And so it's going to be a tight fit. And so you want a tight fit because it's going to be a watertight fit. And so you just do that all the way around so that edge is flat against the surface of there. And you're going to also work that into the hole that you made inside. And it's a flexible grommet, so I know you're worried about this curved edge here, but the grommet is rubber and it's gonna work up against that lip. And so really what you want is a seal across the bottom, because the water will try to get out at the bottom of the bin first. So let's show you that real quick. Again, you squeeze the grommet, put it up against the edge of the hole, and just work that in all the way around until it's inside the hole. And so across the top it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but as you can see from the inside, when you push it in, it will come across, and a little bit of work, you can get it in there. And so you can see the inside, it's sealed all the way around, and the outside, again, it's flat up against the surface. So just repeat that on your other bin. Alright, so there you go. Ta-da! Your bins are grommetized. So there you go. 2 bins, grommets in them. Now we're going to proceed with the rest of the assembly, which, well, you'll see in a minute. So okay, so now we've got everything cut and we've got the bin set up, so we're going to move on to the assembly phase. So we're just going to lay out the pieces like so, and you're going to find the drawing in the ebook. So the drawing in the ebook is going to have the pieces laid out by reference designators. So just line them up same way you see in the book. We're going to have a picture listed on there briefly so you can see how everything goes around. But anyway, we'll lay everything out, and we'll show you basically how this goes together. So you have the tees, set all your parts out, lay them out, and we're going to glue them together afterwards, and I'm going to show you what type of glue we're going to use. We're not going to use the typical plumber's glue or cement for this. What we're going to do is we're going to use liquid nails. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a little extra working time because you're going to have to get the frame straight before it cures. And the liquid nails will give you the strength, but it will give you the working time to straighten the frame out before it gets solid. So just lay out all your parts like so, and then we'll get ready to glue this thing together. Here we go. And like I said, just look on the picture and you'll see how it's all laid out, and it's all laid out by a reference designator. So everything has a number, just the same as you had on your cut list with the numbers in the parentheses. Alright, so once you have everything laid out according to the drawing, what you're going to do is you're going to take the liquid nails, and you're going to take each one of the fittings, and what you're going to do is you're going to run a bead of glue, being careful not to get it on the outside. Run a bead of glue around the inside of that, and you're going to do that for all the remaining joints. So once you get a bead of glue in all of those, what you'll do is you're going to push these on there as far as they will go. So just, you can push that against the table, get those in nice and snug, just like that. Get those in there, just like that. As far as they go. And you're going to do that for the whole frame. And so we have two sides of the frame. We have a left and a right side. So this is the left side. As you can see, it says FL, frame left. You're going to have a whole set that says FR. You're going to do that once around, twice. Now, these tees are going to be a little bit different. What you're going to do for these tees are, you're going to try to get these on a right angle. So in order to get these on the right angle, what you want to do is you want to get a square, just like this, and you put the square against there, and you make sure that this guy is on the right angle to these guys here, and just get those snug on there like that. So do that for the all three tees in your frame there. Okay, so here's our frame all together. So now what you're going to see is this guy is a little bit off. So what I use is I use a section of short section of pipe, and you can stick that in there and make a little bit of adjustments if you need to. Now we're going to make the final adjustments when we bring the two sides together. So, but as you can see, there's a little bit of gap there because this is half, this is 3/4. So this is narrower than this section. But what you want is you want that straight line gap there that you see there. So we'll bring that a little bit closer so you can see a little better. So you see there's an even gap between there, but that indicates that, as you can see, we have a straight line there, and that's what you want. Of course, now we're gonna make the final adjustments when everything comes together, but what you can do right now is and the glue is going to provide a little lubrication for this because it gets really tight as soon as you bring these together, is push all the corners. Make sure all the corners are as far in as they can go. And it's going to take 24 hours. It's going to take 24 hours and if you see that, you see the corners are a little bit up, you can push it down right now and get it more or less squared away. Later on, we're going to use the floor to do the final adjustments on it. But you'll see that after the next frame is assembled and everything comes together. Alright, so now we're going to add the cross pieces and just put a little adhesive in here on this joint. Remember, always add it to the inside of the of the fittings. That way you don't wind up with a massive glue on the outside, like I just did there. And you don't want the glue on the outside because later on, when you go to secure this on the ground, go to push the frame together, you don't want glue on your floor. So you need to find the pieces that are marked CP. So the one on the back is going to be CP1, or CP2, I'm sorry, and that's going to be the regular Schedule 40 piece that you're going to have in there. The two top pieces are going to be your Schedule 80 pieces, and they're the dark PVC. And the reason they're dark gray is so that you can tell visually what schedule they are. Schedule 40 and Schedule 80 just means that, as you can see, your Schedule 40 is a little bit thin-walled. Your Schedule 80 is thicker-walled. So on the outside, they're the same diameter on the outside, but on the inside, it's a little bit thicker wall on the Schedule 80. And what that means is that when you put your bins on top of these guys, it'll hold the weight better. So if you want to add gravel instead of expanded clay, these guys will hold it. The rest of the frame is a 3/4 frame instead of a half inch. So it'll hold the weight. But this Schedule 40 is a lot stronger when you try to bend it this way. So it'll hold the weight just fine. So even if you want to add gravel in there and with the water weight, it should hold it just fine. So what you want to do is just put those right into your T's. So we're going to slide those right in, just like that. And just push those in as far as they will go. Now you're going to take the right side of your frame and you're going to apply glue the same way. Not being as sloppy as I am. So you're going to add the glue in there. And remember, this has a 24-hour working time, so it'll give you enough time to settle the frame as you get this guy set up. So there you go. 3 T's have had glue applied to them, and so now we're going to go to the free ends of the frame. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip this guy over, and you're going to put the free ends into the frame just as you did with the bottoms of the frame on the other side. So you're going to push those in just like this. And again, your frame is going to be a little off at this point, but we're going to even that out as soon as we get these guys settled. We're going to get this on the ground and push everything together. So there you go. So now from the table we're going to move down to the ground. As you can see here, I've got a lot of books there, so don't mind the books. Okay, just use your body weight to push on these guys. And you hear that? That is the plastic sliding into the joint. So that's what you wanna have. You wanna have go through, do all 3 T's, and settle those in. So now you're gonna turn this on its side this way, long ways. You're gonna do the same thing with the corners. So you're gonna push this corner down in, get that settled. Go to the next corner, push that down in, and so forth until you have all the corners settled. So you hear that? Those are the corners settling in. So there you go. Then you turn it over to the short side and do the same thing there. All 4 corners. So you do that with all 4 corners there. Okay, so now you can turn it back up and settle it in. And as you can see, there are no gaps here. And so that's what you want. You want to see no gaps there. And so just push it back and forth a little bit to get everything settled in and nice and square. And just visually look at it and check it to see if it looks like it's all settled in and nice and square. It should be all 4 corners of that should be flat on the ground at this point. So all 4 corners there should be flat on the ground at this point. So that looks pretty good there. So we're going to back up a little bit so you can see the full frame. So that's what you should have there. You should have this full frame here. Okay, if you're going to use gravel with the system, as you can see, we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to have the frame all set up and This time what we're going to do is we're going to cut a section of steel tubing, and this is steel hollow tubing, and we're going to cut a section of that is 26.5 inches long. So we're going to mark off 26.5 inches, and for cutting this we're going to use the hacksaw. We can't use the pipe cutter for this because it'll be metal on metal, so you have to use the metal cutting blade on it with the hacksaw. So as you can see, I've wrapped a paper towel around this, and that's just to hold it, stabilize it while I cut it, because it is a round piece. And so this is going to be a little bit harder to cut than the PVC, but it shouldn't be too difficult. Now I just take my file and clean that up a little bit. Just to get rid of the burrs around the edge. So there you go. Now what we do with the steel tubing is we go to the top here and we just insert it and let it drop all the way down to the bottom there. So you'll have some sticking out there. When you put your T's on, this part will be inside the T. It will wind up inside of this T. And so just repeat that on your second cross piece there. So you'll have steel tubing in here and steel tubing in here, and then you just complete the assembly same as you did before. And like I said, if you're going to use the expanded clay, you can skip this step and just assemble. Okay, so at this point you have a frame where the fish pen will fit conveniently underneath, and the bar at the back will just slide underneath. As you can see, it will slide underneath the rim of the bin, and these two bars will slide in the slots on the bottom of the grow bins. So it would hold those two grow bins, and once the fish pen is full of water, it will keep everything from tipping over this way. As you can see, everything is held in there snugly. Now we're going to proceed to put together the overflow pipe, which will go into these two grommets, as well as the J-tubes that go in here, as well as the light bar that snaps in to these two sides here. So the light bar is going to snap into those two sides, and it'll be over the entire thing. So let's go ahead and since the light bar is pretty easy to assemble, let's go ahead and assemble that. Okay, among your parts you're going to find two of these, and these are normally used to put a junction into a pipe that's already installed somewhere. So what they do is they snap right onto the pipe,
So be careful because these will catch your fingers. Slide that to one end. So we're going to slide it forward in this demonstration. So we're just going to snap the other one in. And again, be careful. They will catch your fingers. And we're going to slide that forward. Okay, now we're going to get some adapters. And we're going to thread these in. So we're going to put those right in there. And we're going to hand tighten that. Now, this PVC, once you hand tighten something, it usually binds up. So if you're going to try to back that out, it's kind of tight, so you really don't have to glue that part in. We're going to do the same on the other one. So we're going to stick that in. Go ahead and screw that down as far as it'll go, and hand tighten that puppy. Okay, there you go. We're going to add glue just like the other joints. So we're going to add glue to that, like so. And again, once you have this set up, you don't want to get too much glue around the outside, and be careful with your floors. So now we're gonna take the light bar sections, the vertical ones. They'll be marked LB1. So you're gonna take the light bar section, stick it in there, and again, same way you did the frame. Push them all the way down. Light bar section 1 again. Here's another one. We're going to stick that guy in there. Push it down as far as we can go. And we're going to continue on with the elbows at the top. So let me just take a second to put the glue on those. Okay, so we've added glue to these elbows. So we're just going to add those elbows on top. Just like that. We're just gonna put them in lightly. So I like to keep the ink towards the back. I mean, if you don't mind the ink, that's okay. So we're just gonna put those on lightly, because we're going to put the final section of light bar in there, and that'll be marked LB2, as you can see there. So just go ahead and pull these towards each other like this. Get them as snug as you can. Like I said, they're going to bind, and just push down on each corner of that. Hopefully you can see that. Just use your body weight. That's fine, and you'll hear it when it seats down in there. Just use, again, use your body weight. That'll seat, and just check on that. You'll see that that's nice and square. So now you can slide this back, if you'd like, to the center. To the center of each. And it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, it will allow you to slide that back and forth so that you can get the proper position over the bins as you like. But if you slide it to the center, here, it'll be in the center of your bins, because of the way your bins will sit on these two bars, at the bottom here. So because of the way those two bars are set up, if you slide this and this to the center, it'll be directly in the center of your grow bins. So your light will be centered once you attach your light. And that's pretty much it for the frame. Now we're going to go ahead and show you the pipes for the grow bins to get the water in and to get the water out on the overflow part of the bins. Okay, another thing I want to show you is with the snaps that we used, what you can do is, now if you would like to remove the light bar for whatever reason, you don't want to use the light bar, you've got plenty of sunlight, and you want to remove that section, what you do is, and this makes it very simple, so you just put your feet on one corner of the frame, put your foot on one corner of the frame, just like so, and you push back on the top of the light bar. You push back, and what that will do is it will release the light bar from the frame. It'll just unsnap, and you can this will be one section. It can be a separate section of your frame, so you can use the frame with or without the light bar, as you can see there. So that is one added advantage of using those snaps. Okay, so as you can see, we've arranged the overflow pipe in somewhat of a T here. Okay, for this particular part of the assembly, we're going to use PVC cement instead of the glue that we used earlier, because we don't want the glue to be leached into the water, and this PVC cement is used for potable water. So this is what the plumbers usually use when they're putting together the PVC pipe. With this, you want to keep it in a well ventilated area. You also want to work quickly because it sets fairly quickly, because what it's doing is it's melting part of each pipe into each other, so it sets fairly quickly. And you also want to keep it in a ventilated area. So and we don't need high strength here, so we're not even going to use the cleaner or the primer on this. We're just going to go ahead and use the cement. So put some on there, small amount, doesn't have to be that much, and push your pipe as far as you can go, as quickly as you can. And so that's a permanent bond there. That's the thing about this cement. Once you put the pieces together, they effectively become one piece. So you should lay everything out, and if you have to dry fit things, do this with it to check fit and all of that. By all means, do that. And you may have to practice a few times to get this. So again, all you do is and it doesn't really even take that much. I mean, you wipe as much as you can off, and you put it in there, and you stick this guy in, push immediately as hard as you can, and that guy is in there. That's, as you can see, it's well seated in there, and that's not coming back out. And again, you don't need very much structural integrity. This is just to carry the water out of the bin, so you don't have to prime it, clean it. All of that would be extra. I mean, certainly if you wanted to do that, you could do that, but I found that gluing it, or cementing it rather, is plenty. So again, fairly quickly, push it as far as you can go, as quick as you can, get that seated in there, and you can see it's the length is fairly even on this side and this side, so you can tell it's well seated in there. And that's all you need to do for the overflow pipe. So this is what you should have when you're done, and cap this as quickly as possible because fumes will continue to come out of there. So there you go, that is your overflow pipe, and we'll show you how to insert that into the bins later. Okay, so now we're assembling one of the siphons. What you want to do is lay out the parts, same as we've done with everything else. And we're going to use the cement again, because again, this is going to be in the water. You don't want anything leaching into the water. What we're going to do here is, since I've got everything laid out, I find it's easier to take the labels off at this point. So you can see this is J3, J2, J4 here. We've added an adapter here to make the assembly easier, so you won't need JS1. But as you can see, everything's laid out, ready to get cemented together. What I typically do is cement the long sections into the elbows first, and that way that'll give you some leverage in order to get everything flat when you put it together, and you'll see that in a second. This guy right here is going to screw into this adapter, and what that will allow you to do is you'll be able to remove this section of the siphon and replace that with a different type of siphon, which will allow you to use your rafts. Instead of using a grow media, you can switch the grow media out for a raft with some net cups in it, and that way you can use nutrient film, so you can run the water constantly instead of ebb flow. It'll give you greater versatility in what you can grow in the system. Just by unscrewing the J part of the siphon and just inserting a straight tube with holes in it so that you can use the raft system. Okay, so again, as you can see, we're going to use the same process to assemble these guys. Again, push as hard as you can, as quickly as you can, and seat that. Okay, and you're going to do that on all the pieces that you have laid out here. Do the same thing as far as you can, as quickly as you can. And there you have it. So now, as I was telling you before, we're going to use that to the table to level this out. So now we have the long pieces in here. We're going to use the table to level this out. And there is also a seam on here that you can see that has happened from the welding. Or should I say from the molding process when they created these. And so what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to line these up. So that will help line those up. So what you do is you're going to put this cement in here, and you're going to quickly put these together, lining up the seams again. And if you can hear that, and you have a short time to work, but anyway, that is, as you can see, that's pretty flat there. It's already set, so there you go. Now, once I have this J part, I will add the adapter that you use to screw it in, and same process again. So it's pretty simple to once you have everything laid out to get everything together. So again, put some cement in there and push it on far as it will go, as quickly as you can. And that's pretty much it for the J section. Now we move on to the final section of the siphon, which is here. And same process, we put the glue in there and push this down in there as far as it will go. And that's pretty much one piece there. And so, as I said before, this is going to allow you to screw this in together here this way. And so there you have your J siphon. Later, as we install it, we're going to add this piece, but we're not going to glue this piece in, so that we can insert the down tube of the siphon into this grommet. See, as you can see, this grommet's been taken back out of the bin, but as it sits in the bin, you will wet this part and slide this part as far down as it can in the bottom of the bin, and then after insertion, you will put this in there just hand tight. We'll show you how to do that later. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take a little bit of Teflon tape. Won't take much, just a little bit, and just wrap it around the end there, so that when you screw this in, you can get a pretty good seal. I just go around there about 3 times. And just make sure that edge comes up there. Okay, just wrap that like that, and you screw in your end there. And as I said, it doesn't have to be too tight, because that'll start binding up
And so just get that on there like that. Just hand tight as far as you can get it. And repeat on your other one. So this is your completed J siphon there. Okay, so here what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start the assembly of the irrigation and water flow systems. So what I'm doing, I was just wetting one end of the overflow pipe, and I'm gonna take, so this is just regular water, and I'm gonna take and wet the, so I'm gonna take and wet the grommet a little bit, and that'll make it easy to slide the pipe in there. So we're gonna slide the pipe all the way to where it can't go anymore, and we're gonna do the same thing with the other one. See, we're gonna wet the inside of the grommet, and we're gonna wet the pipe. And so now we're gonna turn this and insert the pipe in the other grommet. So now it's gonna be a little bit more difficult than the siphons, because what we have here is we're going the opposite way with these grommets, and we're going the opposite way in order to get the bins as close as we can together. So this might take a little doing, but it's doable. So once you get the edge of the pipe in, it's easy to wiggle it all the way till it bottoms out just like that. So now once that's done, you'll see that the T winds up right in between those two, and the pipes protrude a little bit into each bin. And we'll give you a little view of that. See? And about the same amount, about 3/4 of an inch. And the down part of the pipe just hangs straight down, so if the water does overflow, it's going to go right into your fish pen down there. So as you can see, and it's right between the two support the cross beams. And as you can see also, that gives you the spacing. So if you put the light bar in here, you'll see that the spacing is just such that with the overflow pipe in there, the two bins wind up just almost perfectly spaced between there, so that you have about an inch left on each side. So I'll rock that on there. So there you go. So now you should have about an inch of space on either side, as you can see there. And there you go. And there you go. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to insert the J siphons that we put together earlier. So what we'll do is same procedure. What we have to do is on the inside we're going to wet the end of the pipe, and we're going to wet the inside of the grommet and the grommet, and now the pipe should slide, and you might want to support it a little bit on the bottom just to, and so there you go. So as you can see, that slides all the way down in there, and you're gonna have a little bit of play there. What you're gonna have also is, if we look down here, we're gonna have about an inch of gap down there. You want to leave that in there. That's exactly where you want to have it. You want to have about an inch down there. You don't want to siphon all of the water out of here. when the siphon goes, because you want the bacteria to have about an inch or so down at the bottom here. That's where your beneficial bacteria is going to be permanently residing, and so they're the ones that turn the ammonia into nitrites and then into nitrates. So you want to have that down there, and we'll just do the same on the other side. And we'll take a little water and we'll get that in the grommet, and we'll take the pipe, put a little water on the end of that, do the same thing again, and just work that in, wiggle it, and it'll go all the way down to the bottom. And again, we have the inch of space down here, and I generally turn these, you can turn them forward so there's enough space between your inlet and your outlet. So we'll just turn these both forward, just like this. And now I'll show you how to put together the pump and the irrigation piping. Okay, so now it's time to put together your water supply system, which is your pump and the tubing that brings the water up from the fish pen up into the grow beds. So for this, you're gonna have two hose barb elbows. So these are 90 degree elbows, and the ones on your list will be black. So these are white, so you can see them very easily for the assembly, so you have a good visual. And they have a T, and these are all 3/8 size, as your tubing is 3/8 size. So you have your black vinyl tubing, and your tubing, as everything should be in your water system, it should be opaque so that no light gets to the water and you don't have any algae growth. So for the pump that you're going to have several different outlets. So these are adapters, so you can adapt to different size. So here you have a 1/2 inch ID, what they call a 1/2 inch ID, and that's just the inner diameter of your tubing. You're going to pick the smaller one, which is the 3/8 ID, and as you can see, that will slide right into your tubing. And I'll show you how to secure that better later after we get this done. So what you want to do is at this time also, while you have the pump out, make sure that the pump is set to the maximum setting. So you're going to want it pumping at max for the flood and drain cycles to work properly. So as I said, just drop that in there, drop that adapter in there, and push it until it bottoms out. So that will bottom out in your pump there, and later on it'll get pretty. This is not a high pressure application. You're just going to be pumping water up a few feet, so you're not going to need to seal that with anything. Just push it in there. That will suffice. So our particular application requires us to cut about 25 inches of vinyl tubing. So just measure that out. So I'll measure out 25 inches here. That's just 1 inch over 2 feet. And again, if you change how your bins are set up from the design that we gave you, you may have to change the length of this, but in our particular design, it's 25 inches. And you see how easily that cuts with just regular scissors. Now you're going to need 4 2-inch sections, and we'll show you how to use those in a minute. So we're just going to cut 4 2-inch sections. I just measured 2 inches, and I just use that to measure out my remaining 3 sections here. So I'll continue on, cut another 1,
Lost my measuring stick there. Okay, so as you can see here, I've cut 4 sections of that. So we have one long section. We have 4 2-inch sections, and all we do is arrange these like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the short sections and we're going to link the 90 degrees with the T. And this is a very, very simple assembly here, as you can see. I also reference this in the ebook, so you can go ahead and push those together. And the purpose of that is, and the reason we're so short, is because we're just trying to make a 90-degree turn there. So we're coming up. So when you fully look at this, you're making 180 and 180. So the water's coming up, and it's being divided between your 2 bins directly down on each side. So you just want to push these down so that these ends will be in your grow media, and it will keep this whole assembly stable, and you won't have any water spraying up. You don't want to make these too long, because they will turn into J siphons like this, just like the J siphons that you created before. But you don't want the water siphoning back through these. You want the water siphoning back through the J siphons that you actually made for that purpose. These are to bring the water up. You don't want the water going back down these tubes. You don't want anything to clog your pump. Those pumps are very hard to clog because they're what you call vane pumps. So the fit on the parts is actually pretty forgiving, and a lot of debris can be pumped through there, which is why they're good for these aquaponics systems. So you can have a lot of debris go through them, which is what we're actually going to be pumping in terms of fish waste in order to feed our bacteria, our beneficial bacteria. So just push that on there like that. So as you can see, now we have the long section is in the middle. That's going to go directly to our pump. So the pump is going to plug directly into that, and as you can see, it's pretty loose in there. What I typically do with the pump is I get a tie wrap, and so I take a single tie wrap and I use that tie wrap to tighten the grip around here. And now, because it's vinyl, it will grip that outlet tube very well. You don't even have to tighten it that much, you just have to snug it down. And I recommend cutting off the excess, and you can do that with the scissors just as easily. Just make sure, just check for sharp edges there, and there you go. That is your water delivery system, and show you how to get that in your system. Okay, this part is very simple. What we're going to do here is we are going to just put some water at the bottom here, and we're going to take your pump, we're going to use the water to, you have suction cups at the bottom of the pump. So what you want to do is get some water on those suction cups. They work very well, as you can see. Once you stick that down, it's kind of hard to get them. Okay, so I tend to put the pump facing sideways a little bit, a few inches from the back, as you can see. Give a little space for our nutrients to be sucked into the pump. Now just throw, all you want to do is throw your wire over the side here. Let's find a flat spot for this guy. I stuck them on the letters. Okay, flat spot right there. Good. Throw your the top of your tee over the side also, and you'll see why in a minute. So you see I've pulled the fish bin forward a little bit so we can work in there. So now what we're going to do is slide it back. Now if you have opted to install something like a heater, a tank heater, you're in a very cold place, you want to keep the temperature for the water between 68 and 75. You don't want it to go any higher than that, but you don't want it to go any lower than 65 Fahrenheit for the depending on what type of fish you have in there. So these come with suction cups also, and what you would do is, again, adhere the suction cups to the side there and push this guy on there. And we have added a part number for the recommended the fish tank heater that we recommend. So you can use a fish tank heater because it's a very small volume of water. So now we're going to push the fish pen back, making sure that we take the wires and the tubing and throw them over the back like so. And as we continue pushing this back, the weight of the wires and stuff will push it over that back cross piece like so. And you see, now we will grab the top of the tee and bring the top of the tee over. We're going to bring it under between the two cross pieces, the front one and the back one, in the same area that your overflow pipe is, and then we're going to bring it up and over the edge of the grow bins. And so that'll just sit in there just like that. So as you can see, that's sitting in there just like so. And there you go. Now, you can make any adjustments you want. If you want to pull this down a little bit to get that flat across. It's not too super important. All you want is for the ends of this. And so we've given you enough length also that you can pull the pump to the center of the grow bin, as you can see, in case you wanted to put some gravel around the sides. Just remember to keep enough space around your pump so that everything can get sucked up in there and moved up into your grow bins. So now we're going to show you filling and test of the pump and siphon system. So here we go. Get some water up here. Okay, so here we have the last bucket of water going in. I filled this up halfway. I filled this up almost to the point, almost to the top of the J tube, and I'm about to fill the second grow bed up to the same level. And this is just so we can test the system and how it pumps the water up and gets the water in the J tube flowing. Okay, so we've got the fish pen is half full. The fish pen is half full. These guys are filled up to the level of the top of just below the level of the top of the J siphons. So we're about to plug this in and check the water flow. So
So here you go. Here you can see the water coming out of the supply tubes and filling up the grow bin. And here you see the water coming out of the J siphons. Okay, so there's going to be a point where the water is going to come to the top of these siphons. And then the siphons will start pumping full force. And we'll see that in a minute. Okay. The one thing that I did not show you guys is the addition of the 90-degree elbow here. So as you can see here, we're filling up. When the water starts flowing out of here, what's going to happen is there's got to be enough back pressure for the J siphon to start. So the water's going to start slowly there. See here, let's add the elbow to this guy here. So we're just going to push it on. No glue for this guy. So I'm just going to push this guy on. That guy is on now, and we're filling up. So this guy here, as soon as there's enough flow of water, the siphon on that guy is going to start. And so the thing there is there has to be enough flow of water there. And there you go. And so that's what happens. The water column starts drawing all the water at a faster pace because this is 3/8. This is a 1/2 inch. Water's going to drain out faster than it's coming in, and that's how you're going to get your ebb and flow. So it's going to drain out, and then it will start to fill up again. And as you can see, even though the pump is pumping in, it's still draining out faster than it's pumping in. And you'll see it'll come to a point where the water will be lower than the inlet of the J tube, and suction will break. There you go, and it will stop pumping out. You see? So it has stopped pumping out, and it won't start pumping out again until the water reaches the top again. See, this one's filling up. So next step is I'm going to show you how to test the overflow, so you can see how the overflow works. Okay, so here we go. Basically, I've capped off the outlet of our J siphon. So now the water level is going to continue to rise, and the water level is rising to the point where it's now overflowing. So now before it gets to the edge of the top of so now it's coming out of that side of the overflow tube, and that's exactly what you want. So you see the overflow tube
will keep the level of water from going above the top of the tube and overflowing the edge of your grow bed. So that's as high as the water is going to get. So you can see there, the water will continue to drain out of here until you get rid of whatever's clogging your J-siphon. So there you go. That is the safety measure. So now the J-siphon is going to siphon all the water out, same as normal. And that's how your overflow tube works. And with that, the system test is complete. And next step is to fill your grow beds with your expanded clay or your gravel or whatever your grow media is going to be. And that will be our last section of video. There we go. And as you can see, you have plenty of air bubbles there, which means that you're getting some aeration into your fish pen. Alright, now it's time to fill to put the grow media into the grow bins. And we've chosen expanded clay, one because it's lighter, and two because it exposes the roots to more of the water, and so it just wicks the water a little bit better than your average gravel. Of course, you can use sand in here. You can use, depending on what type of plants you're using, you can use sand, you can use riverbed gravel, but in this case we're using expanded clay. So we're going to show you how to put the expanded clay in here. This filter bag, as you can see, it's got fairly large holes. It'll let the water go through fairly well, but it'll keep the large particles from going into your J-siphon. So we just slip that over the end like this, and just kind of push on the sides, and it'll open up. So we can slide that on there. They're gonna be longer than what you need, so I just slide it up, you know, leave about a ½ inch down there. And they come with these zip ties you can use on them. And so what you do is you just push it through the mesh, and you bring it around, and you push it through on the other side, and then you just zip it closed, tighten it up. And so there you go. And then what we'll do after that is we'll put a little moisture on the end, and insert the J-siphon all the way down, all the way until it bottoms out. And that's it on that guy. Okay, so this is pretty simple. We're going to use a 10-liter bag, and what we're going to do is we're just going to cut the top off. You may want to go ahead and rinse this out. For this exercise, we're just gonna put it in there and let the system pump through a few times. What you want to do is you want to add these in, and you want to hold your You do want to hold your J siphon so that it remains in a vertical position. So you maintain that 1 inch of space on the bottom, and just continue to fill. And you can fill it right to the top edge. Most of the expanded clay, because the overflow tubes are horizontal, it won't go in there. And if it does go in there, it'll just drop down into your fish bed, your fish pens, and your 10-liter bag will do very nicely in filling up your grow bed. So you just fill that right to the top, level it off. And again, we're trying to get that 1 inch over the level of the water so that we don't get any algae growth in there. So that looks pretty good there. When you add your plants, of course your plants are going to be a little bit over. They're going to help you fill in some of that space. So when you do plant your plants in there, you're going to move some of this out of the way to get the roots down in there. And so you want the roots to be saturated with the water. But again, you want to keep the top of it dry so that no algae has a foothold in there. And so there you go. That looks pretty good. So you just repeat in this grow bin, and you're pretty much done right there. The rest is adding your plants and adding your fish in the fish pen, and that's it. You have a full aquaponics system. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is we have two different types of grow media here. So here you have the expanded clay, and as you can see, it's looks like round pebbles of different sizes. But if you look on the inside, it's expanded by creating air pockets in there, which what that means is that it will float, as you can see. So it'll float up, and we'll show you some of the problems that can cause later. So the advantage is, though, it's lighter than gravel, and it's easy to plant in. So you can just stick the roots in there, and it's pretty good for that. My personal favorite is riverbed gravel, and so this you can find at your local hardware store. We didn't include this on the part list because this stuff is a lot heavier, and if you're going to get this online and have it shipped out, it will cost you a lot more. So you're better off finding this locally. And again, this is my favorite just because it does not float up. It pretty much stays stable no matter what the water level is. And I don't know, I just like the natural feel of it. So with this, you won't have this. I'm going to show you one of the siphon tubes, and inside the siphon tube, we actually had some of the expanded clay get in there because it does float, and so it got under the intake of the siphon tube, and it actually just floated up to the top of the siphon tube. So I'm going to show you how to avoid that and put a screen on there. Yeah, it's a very cheap way of putting the screen on there, but with the expanded clay, it will keep the expanded clay from floating up in there. And obviously, since the gravel doesn't float, you won't have that problem. But let me show you that real quick here.